Welcome to another exciting episode of the Nigerian Community Chronicles Podcast, powered by naked.org, where we celebrate the incredible contributions of Nigerians in the diaspora. Today, we have the privilege of hosting a distinguished leader, a visionary, and a dedicated advocate for community development, Mr. Wole Cornelius Sanwo. Mr. Sanwo is a co-founder and director of the Nigerian Schools Foundation, UK, an organization that has played a pivotal role in uniting Nigerian alumni networks in the diaspora to support education, cultural preservation, and financial inclusion. Under his leadership, NSF UK has evolved from an alumni sports gathering into a dynamic platform addressing key diaspora community needs, fostering collaboration, and giving back to schools in Nigeria. Beyond his community work, Mr. Sanwo is a seasoned financial expert and a fellow of the Chartered Association of Certified Accountants, FCCA. With several years of senior management experience in the UK social housing sector, he has overseen major projects in financial management, IT integration, and property acquisitions. Since 2022, and after over 3 decades in the housing sector, he retired from permanent roles and currently offers his services as a consultant supporting finance departments in through period of turbulence. He also has a couple of NED roles in housing and charity sectors. His passion for service extends beyond his profession, as he has been instrumental in shaping the NSF UK flagship event, Annual Sports Day, which now engages over 50 Nigerian schools and colleges, fostering unity, healthy living, and cultural pride among Nigerians abroad. Today, we'll be delving into his inspiring journey, the impact of NSF UK, his insights into financial empowerment within the diaspora, and ways we can all contribute to building a stronger, more connected Nigerian community worldwide. Mr. Sanwo, it's an absolute honor to have you on the Nigerian Community Chronicles Podcast.
Thank you, Anthony. Thanks for having me. It's a privilege and an honor to participate in this interview session. And on behalf of my team as well, I can't speak highly enough about my team, because without people behind me or standing shoulder to shoulder, I'll just be on my own. I'm also saying, the great things that you are doing,
Thank you.
aid, networking, business empowerment, and cultural preservation. So it's an honor and privilege to be on your platform. Thank you.
Oh, thank you very much, Mr. Sanwo, for that appreciation. Mr. Sanwo, once again, let me welcome you to Nigerian Community Chronicles Podcast. We are honored to have you here. How are you today, sir?
Very well, Anthony. Very, very well.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure. Cold in London. I think the weather's getting better now. As we progress, it's getting to be spring-like weather. So
honestly, today was so warm.
So warm. Yeah.
I had to even put the heater off.
Yeah. So
that is why you see me in this.
yeah.
Anyway, now, you have an extensive background in finance, social housing, and community development. Can you share a bit about your journey and what led you, to co-found the Nigerian Schools Foundation UK?
Good question. Yeah, I will be roughly 38 years in this country later this year. In terms of founding the Nigerian Schools Foundation, it was just by accident.
Wow.
At the 20 years mark, I wasn't doing anything meaningful for Nigeria, for my community. I was just, getting by, living out like everybody else, trying to survive, focusing on my family, trying to make a living. And then something happened to me. My mom, who I hold very dearly, passed in the year 2007.
Oh,
So that's resting about the 20-year mark. Yeah.
right.
They are so continue to rest in it. And she was visiting me then. She had spent about 3 to 4 months. Anytime my mom comes, she's always, for the umpteenth time, always reminding me, my generation, about the free education we had from Nigeria, up to rising groceries from university. You know how this mom
Can imagine the mom said,
Oh,
our parents.
yeah. and our beef was that we all checked out. Japan now,
Japan.
it was like check out in our days,
Sorry to interrupt you,
Okay,
but
go on.
in their own time,
Yeah.
they actually came abroad. They studied and they went back.
And they went back. Yes.
Unlike us, our generation,
Yeah.
and the ones behind us, they come and they stayed.
They stayed there because they had jobs waiting for the different period, people, different era and all of that. We had some challenges and so on, but her beef was that she felt they had made a lot of investment in us, both herself and the country. And when the country ran into challenges, we were supposed to stay behind and help, not build. So that was her own idea that way. And sometimes you'll be watching TV and she'll see all the negative things about, Nigerians generally. And she said, they don't want you here. What are you still doing here? Come back. So anyway, when she then passed, at the time, I felt like she came to give me a message, because she passed here and we had to take her back home.
Okay.
And then from then on, I started looking at Nigeria, from 2007 up till about 2012. I decided to start doing something, just emotional investment back home, with some people who were, doing some investment club in shares, property and stuff like that. Until 2012, when some other things happened again. We had the Olympics in 2012.
Yes, that's correct. Yeah, I remember.
Yes. Yeah. Prior to that, in 2005, my set, as in alumni set, I went to Bobby College in Yaba, Lagos. Yeah. So we all have all these associations.
Yeah.
Alumni associations, which I think you are also.
Yeah, I'm also part of mine. Yes.
Yeah. So anyway, my set, we used to have a family event somewhere in the park. We went to it in parks, but finally in Bromley. And then I had a classmate of mine that used to run it. And then in 2011, he decided to relocate to Nigeria.
Whoa.
And at that time, he was asking, should we wind up the event? So we met as a group, and I then said, with all the euphoria happening about the Olympics at the time, they were trying to encourage community feeling. Government was, exactly. They had all these, legacy things around the airport. Communities should host parties, should hold free events. I just thought to myself, let me ask a few people that actually before then I had been going to those events intermittently,
right,
2005 to 11, and I noticed that what started off like as a few, like a gathering of 100 people. My generation were getting older, the kids were growing up, and I felt that this is going to die a natural death,
which is very true.
Yeah. So when the Olympics came, I thought, okay, let me gather a few people together. Let's just see whether we can have our own mini Olympics. As a one-off event, that was the plan then.
Wow.
And that was then what we did. So I got about, I think initially I spoke to my co-founder, we met at a party. We said it was a great idea. From the two of us, we got 9 schools in. We had our very first meeting. And then by the time we had the first meeting in April. And by the time we had the event in around July or something like that, the closing day ceremony of the Olympics, we had about 18 to 19 schools taking part.
Impressive.
We wanted about 850, we wanted about 500 guests to come up, but 850 attended.
Oh.
So it was just a coincidence. Like I said, it was opportunistic thing. We didn't plan it, things just crystallized. My mom passing, my classmate getting to Nigeria Olympics, and then we just did this one-off thing. And it was meant to be a pilot. People liked it, and they said no.
And then
you have to continue.
You have to continue. Wow, fantastic! I mean, still on the same NFS, story and history. NFF has actually grown significantly now. from the alumni-driven initiative Joseph narrated, to a widely recognized platform supporting education and cultural, preservation. Can you tell us about this evolution a little bit more, and what steps were taken after, the gathering of the pioneers?
Okay, thank you, Anthony. Good question. So, when we did the pilot, as I said, people embraced it. They liked it. The pilot was a free event, and then the feedback that we were getting was that we had to continue,
Yes.
doing it. I don't know. I'll take you back a little bit to what it was like in the UK at the time for
Right.
Diaspora. We now take it for granted. So if you can imagine, the Afrobeats that we have now was in its infancy. I mean, people like the band were just emerging to our consciousness. During the Olympics, Nigerians in diaspora had a reputation when they hold events, either for it to fail or not to be successful. Just these poor perceptions of Nigeria hosting events. And then generally the poor perception about Nigerians, just generally, we used to have a lot of like bad news and all of that in the press. So when something like NSF then emerged, people looked at it as if it was a beacon of light. We started getting feedback that we just became community advocates. All of a sudden, we just emerged, and there was this opportunity, and they started saying to us that, apart from religion and music, we are the largest congregation of Nigerians, And then we started realizing that people, when they wanted to get in touch with the Nigerian diaspora, they started coming to us.
Wow.
And that's how we started building it. And initially, I think up to like the our fifth year anniversary, we still weren't sure what directions to go. Our members, they naturally did their fundraising events for their schools and stuff like that. And NSF continued to have the sports day, but we couldn't really figure out, where exactly. We knew we had this community advocacy thing, and we were doing much more representing Nigerians, and we had the responsibility to make sure that the event was there, that people had something to look forward to. People really embraced it. The young ones came and had a good time. And then in 2016, we then had our 5th anniversary, and then we had the opportunity to call. I don't know whether you've heard about. He was Dr. Tommy Lube. He's like one of the leaders in the community. He's become recognizable. At the time, he was just starting off. I met him coincidentally somewhere. I liked what he was doing, and I thought, okay, I would invite him. He was doing something on education in Africa.
Right.
I thought we could align with. He was setting up. He set up this school in Africa, in Ghana, for the gifted girls in Nigeria. Doing STEM, very wonderful things. He still has it going. And then he was celebrating something in London with his brother, and I was invited to it. Somebody invited me, and I said, and I listened to him. He's a very good orator. He inspires people and stuff like that. And I said, I'll invite you to my event for you to
your event. Yes.
Just before he came to our event at the time, he then was nominated as the most influential Black person in the UK.
Wow.
They have this power list thing that and they get the top people in there, all kinds of top people, and he became the most influential person. And our event was the first one he came to after, so you can imagine all that.
Wow. That would just give it an high kind of.
Yeah. But anyway, he came down, and then he looked at what we were doing. We had briefed him, what the issues are, we needed a vision, where to go to, and so on. And he came and he said, look, you guys, you need to, be intentional. You need to have a vision. You need to create institutions. You need to be mindful. You need to be accountable. He said, okay, you need to think big and all of that. So from then on, we then decided that, okay, let's really define where we want to go with the team. And anytime that I'm talking, I'm just one of
Yeah.
the many people that are there. I really have a lot of people behind me. So we then decided that, okay, let's form. We went to a corporate entity at the time. We're just in terms of like our legal, we were like an unincorporated body, like
Yeah.
an association or something like that, just doing accounts and so on. So we registered as a non-for-profit at the time, and with the intention of becoming a charity. And that's when we started looking forward. And then before then, actually, there was also one other incident that happened. From 2012 to 2016, when we had our 5th year anniversary, we used to hold events. We needed a lot of resources to make it happen and to make it affordable for the community. So me and my colleagues, we were always struggling. We never knew whether an event was going to go ahead until maybe the last few weeks. It would be as bad.
Can imagine, yes.
Yeah. So we used to go around, with our begging bowls. I remember walking the streets of London, talking to Nigerian, SMEs, the shops and so on. I've walked Brixton, London, you name it. Going talking to all those people, trying to attract them to come. We'll speak to company sponsors and so on. Until finally we then met a gentleman that I will always remember, that he embraced what we did, and then he decided that, look, I would support you, I'll be behind you. And then from that year 2016, we moved from a park to a stadium to host events. So we moved from having 650 people, we had 850 in the beginning, but roughly 650, 500, to start having 1,600, 2,000 people in like a proper stadium, because this guy came on board. And then by the time we got to that level, then our resource problems, our brand became established.
Right.
And then people knew us, because I said to you in the beginning, it was difficult in Nigerian.
I know.
Yeah, it was just difficult to host anything. People never knew whether the event was in. It was like a vicious cycle there.
No.
We weren't given the opportunity, and then it wouldn't happen, and all of that kind. But this guy backed us, and he enabled us to be established, and then we just became known. And then we never lacked for, attracting resources with people know what we did, yeah. And then we took that community advocacy to a different level. Like people come to us. So we've had recently, last time we had the Home Office come to us. They were doing something on Windrush. They wanted to access the Nigerian community. They came to us and gave us money to do it. We've worked with Rugby Football Union. They wanted to find out that diversity, why blacks were not in, they came to us. At the peak of the COVID, when COVID was happening, we actually had a minister, we attracted the one of the minister for COVID or something like that to attend, top scientists to actually come online though, to and address the Nigerian, community that we represent. They looked at us as one of the Nigerian communities. We sent an invitation to them and they came down and spoke to us. So we were that attractive. We've had conversations with the ONS, Office of National Statistics, when they're trying to do something on hard to reach communities, of which they classify Nigerians. Again, they come to us. So we are just regarded as one of the key, if you're not looking at religion or music, these are the people, the go-to
people,
people that you come to, and that's how that's happening. So now we've realized that our vision is still about education back in Nigeria. But then we still have this community advocacy responsibility that we picked up by accident. We can't let it go because we can't disappoint the Nigerian people. But in the meantime, we still have that thing. So we still focus on Nigeria. We are trying to attract resources into the Nigerian education ecosystem.
Okay.
We host seminars. We currently partnered with a charity called Book Aid, where we're taking, books worth about 95 million into the Nigerian. Phase one, actually, we took books worth 95 million and distributed in Nigeria. They gave us free new books to take down, to Nigeria. So going back to your questions, right? Taking care of our UK base, the diaspora community. We also do youth engagement actually in the UK. We do all kinds of things for our youth. Some of them are going to the Commonwealth service in about a week or two's time. We're taking a delegation there. And then, we then focus on the Nigerian space as well. We train teachers, we distribute resources, we create competitions, international competitions for our kids. We enable them to access scholarships, all kinds of. So we do all kinds of things, and we've really mushroomed into different directions.
Oh, fantastic. I'm sure our viewers will actually appreciate the efforts, NSF is doing, in our community. I'm going to probably stay on this topic for a while because it's an area that I believe, every Nigerian in diaspora, wherever we are, can resonate with and kind of borrow a leaf from, So now, can you please expatiate a little bit more on the differences or how you were able to cope with the community advocacy side of things, and then the sports event, and then the education, because those are the keywords I picked from. Yeah. So can you kind of elaborate a little bit more on that for us?
Well, yeah. So as I said, we have a large team behind us in terms of how we're structured. We've got the board of management, which I'm partly a director of. Sitting underneath us, we have the operating team. They run the organization. From the time we started off, we've always been having monthly meetings, and then sitting under the operating team is actually the wider membership group. Yeah, those they have monthly. Everybody has a meeting, and then we have project teams as well. The way we're structured, so we have a team that looks after education, a team that looks after youth engagement, a team that looks after the sports and community. So we're broken down into teams like that. Project teams that report back upwards. We have a fundraising team, we have the finance team, we have the league. So we are organized and structured.
That's right.
That answers the question. So and we're quite and we haven't really that's actually been our strength from day one, in the sense that in terms like our network and access to all kinds of resourcing and at pro bono, from tech experts, IT expert, legal expert, tax expert, you name it. We had at one point we're looking for a food hygiene expert, and we found one of the top ones in the UK was actually in our community.
Right.
And they gave their expertise free. So with that, we're actually very blessed in terms like having, and they're all volunteers actually, no one gets paid. We attract people that just want to give back into the Nigerian community.
So interesting.
So that's how we've been able to organize and structure ourselves and manage that. And we, like I said, we do meet. It's like when you come to us, it's like you're having a proper board meetings and you're having, proper. That's what's happening. So
yeah, that's very.
Sometimes you realize that I always say to people that we really, really punch above our weight. We're able to do that because we find all these resources that if we're able to put numbers on a balance sheet, all this intangible will be quite huge, what we have access to. And that always gives us the confidence when we're trying to collaborate with, organizations externally, and they're wondering how you're going to do it. And we're saying, look, we have access to these resources. And initially, they'll be a bit skeptical, and then they try it and they realize that, wow, these people can do it.
Yeah.
It's just getting Nigerians together, organizing them, people wanting to give back, structuring them. So we're able to do the community, people focus on the NGO, sports day, we just create a team together and we just run with it and deliver everything. And up to a very, very high standard, everything to do with governance, compliance, funding, all of those things, we do that. We're about to do a quiz night towards the end of May or something like that. The project team's been meeting for the past 3-4 months or something, planning, and when they do it, you bring in insurance experts, events management experts, they will all be part of that team. helping out. So people with the experience contributing and all of that. So it's the organization bit that enables us to to deliver on that level. Yeah.
Well done, well done. I'm still staying on this topic.
Okay.
You know, aside from sports days that you do, you know, sport day events, NSF has expanded its initiatives quite, you know, visibly from what you just said. Can you share some of the key programs or projects that NSF is currently running or planning for the future?
Okay. In terms of like a high profile event, the sports day, I will start off with that. Last year we didn't hold that. We had something, a very small thing in the park, and that was because since COVID, we've struggled. I think organizations like ourselves holding those kind of high-profile events, everybody struggled after COVID to build back metal. One, there were lots of events happening that had been built up pre-COVID, and everything happening around the same time.
Yeah.
And people now, react differently. You know, there are all kinds of like new ways of engagement and things like that. But anyway, we didn't attract up to 2019, we attracted about 2,000. From 2022 post-COVID, we only got half of that. And meanwhile, our cost base had gone up. We decided that last year we should consult with our stakeholders and find out whether still of interest, blah, blah, blah. So we just finished that consultation and they said, nope, you have to continue with it. So we're going to do that again this year in August. We're just about to start the planning and for that. So that's the first one I'll talk about because that's the high.
Yeah, that's your high profile. That's the main thing. Yeah.
Knows about that. As I said earlier, we have a quiz night coming up. We always gather about 300, 350. That's purely about the alumni. You know, it's a fun social night out, a quiz night. People banter. There's music. Always an entertaining night. Schools are always looking up to it. We could have about up to 30 schools, alumni associations competing in a very fun way. And the person that wins then hosts the next one. Sometimes that could be slowly batting. And like that could always be a poison chalice because sometimes people strategize not to win. So
okay.
But a few people of them look forward to hosting, and we try our best to always make sure that we support them. So that's happening in about 3 weeks.
Okay.
Just before then, there's this Commonwealth service that's held at the Westminster Abbey. Again, I mentioned it earlier on.
Yeah, you mentioned it.
We're taking a delegation of our kids, maybe like 8 of them, together with about 2 adults. They'll go and mix with the king, the prime minister, a lot of them at this service. It's always a good day to inspire our young ones, for them to say, hey, I can be in the same room with these people. So every year we get tickets for that. As a result of some work that we do in terms of submitting essay, entering into the Queen's Commonwealth Essay Competition, which always happens around October. So anyway, we get invited to that. And then members have their own events. Members always have their own fundraising events, but these are the ones that the NSF is having directly. We're going to have, we always have education seminar, or you could call, online seminar around the October area. And also some international competitions for the kids, both the Commonwealth Essay and also like some competition for Nigeria. And these are like Nigerian students actually taking it. So the seminar is for everyone, but also primarily targeted at the Nigerians. We've delivered the first phase of the book drive, which I talked about.
Yeah.
We delivered about 2,400 books, worth about 95 million naira to about 35 organizations in Nigeria. About 30 schools and other, some ministries and so on. For phase 2, we're talking with them. We're hoping, to get some more books around March as well. We have a meeting with them sometime next month to decide on the next phase. So depending on our performance, we should continue with that, distributing books in Nigeria. For the Nigerian arm, actually, we are working in collaboration with an NGO, NSFP, that we helped set up in Nigeria. So we have, paid coordinator in Nigeria now helping us because all the logistics of distributing.
Yeah.
We want to have conversations with policymakers. We're talking with ministries, FM, Federal Ministry, UNESCO's country representation, a few states. We want to spread across Nigeria anyway to try and make an impact across Nigeria. So that's what the NGO is working towards. And then we have some other fun events in the UK. So members go to Wimbledon, they go to Ascot, they come together as a group and they go to Ascot. They've traveled to Paris before. We just have social events. So in the UK, you have to be careful about social isolation and things like that. Especially our generation. So you always make sure that there's something happening generally. We're also looking for similar. We don't have one locked yet. We were assisting the Home Office with the. I mentioned the thing we were working with them on the Windrush campaign that we're doing, and we're still talking to them and a few others in terms of other things that we were doing, that we can do again. Those are the big things that are happening. So the focus will be Nigeria, the NGO, to get that up to a proper footing. Make sure that we start making impact there. They know us a lot in the UK, but now we're starting to be known in Nigeria. So we're working towards making that happen too. So that's just fantastic sort of what we're getting up to. So yeah, I'm sure in Nigeria, community engagement here and the youth side as well.
Yeah, fantastic. Well done. I'm very sure that our viewers will resonate with everything you've said so far, and that's going to lead me to my next question, because with what we've heard, that will give us an insight as to how NSF was established, how you were able to be grounded, and the kind of strategies you were using to make you get that kind of outreach you're actually hoping for. So let's look into the financial inclusion and community development side of things. So with your strong finance background, particularly in the UK social housing sector, what are some lessons Nigerian professionals in the diaspora can learn about financial planning, home ownership, and wealth creation?
Good, very, very good question, actually. Thank you for asking that.
I'm most welcome.
In my view, being a finance person it's not a prerequisite to how do you put it, creating wealth or financially astute. I think there's just a few other things that people just have to be mindful of. People that are, your viewers, Nigerians generally. In my experience, anyway, it may work for others, it may not. I don't necessarily know. I think the few things that I would mention would be that, one, that you need to be very focused and intentional in whatever plan or vision that you have. In terms of acquiring the knowledge in the UK on how to get on financially. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, that so you need to gather intelligence and be informed in the choices that you're seeking, and to seek mentorships and learn from others. Sometimes people try and do it alone, or they gather the information from the wrong people. Or these are things that sometimes you can't pick up in a book. Some of the things that I did, it was never in financial books. It's to say the ones in the books are actually very synthesized. They're like laboratories. Real life is different from what they do it so that you can just get through your exams and so. That's what normally happens, isn't it?
Very true.
But in real life, you have to be more meaningful, more gather the intelligence, understand understand that there are risks and there are rewards as well. Don't be fearful of taking the risks. Understand that things are cyclical, and then it depends on when you get into it. So if you're buying a property and you buy at the right time, you can make a lot of money, but then it's cyclical. The prices might fall down again. With any assets, be it crypto, be it shares, it all goes up and down. You know what I mean? But the thing is that for people not to be to do their intel and not to be fearful of taking risks, to understand that it's cyclical, and then so long as it doesn't matter when you get in or when you get off, so long as it's like a train journey. So long as you bought your ticket and you're going to a particular destination, you can just carry on. Doesn't matter what's happening. But if you are, forced to get off, or you're something, or the economy is bad, then you may have some problems.
True.
And then the ability to see through, you get a lot of information thrown your way. I mean, people now have very useful tools. I mean, AI, for example, ChatGPT,
that
they have access to that. It's like you have access to
a smartphone and all those.
researcher, smartphones and all this. So you can sometimes, if you structure yourself, you can see through the maze. There's always like a lot of fog and all of that, And another thing is that to be prepared to sacrifice. Be prepared to sacrifice. If you are in one level now, you want to get to another level, something has to give. So you've got to be prepared to do that. You have to do something extraordinary.
Very true.
I'll give you an example. One sacrifice that I had to make was, in going to the community thing. If you can imagine, I only have the same time as everybody else.
Very true.
So if I'm having to spend my time on community things, it means I have to give up something. And one of the things that I gave up, one of the big things was in terms of like my career. I was like at the, I could have gotten further at the height of my career, but I was one of like the leaders in the, there's a black minority ethnic leaders in my industry at the time, and I could have continued to push on. But I felt that in that space, there were lots of people that could occupy that space. But in the community, from what we could see and from what was lacking, I told about what was happening to Nigerians, at the time that, we needed more people to give back into Nigeria. And of course, I had my mom saying at the back of my mind, that I have to be seen to give flag. So I'm proud that I've done that. I'm hoping that she sees that Nigeria hasn't lost anything. I've really tried for 80 to actually do something back, and to my industry, actually, I'm now gravitating back to that in the sense that, trying to be at the board level as well. Lots of, black people in those kind of like levels and being part of like the decision makers and so on. So now I'm striving to get into the boards, I'm on the board of a charity, on board of a housing association. I'm hoping to get on more boards as well as I have the capacity, So going back to the AI thing, the sky is people's limit if they know
it. Yeah, definitely.
What to do. Yeah.
What to do.
I don't know if that helps or if that answers.
No, it does actually. Because the whole idea of this is to educate ourselves, inspire, Nigerians all over the world, in the diaspora. And I'm sure our viewers, as spread as they are, will kind of connect with what you're saying, and that can guide them, especially in this new era of Japaism. You understand? So I believe, that's going to actually lead me to my next question. But I've been struggling on how to kind of phrase the question, because it's something that is kind of personal, in the sense that with the trend that we are all witnessing recently, it seems to me personally that there is no Nigerian family in UK that hasn't got extended family in Nigeria, and vice versa. There is no family in Nigeria, but at least have one person in the diaspora. So that will make me believe that our diaspora would like to know, when diaspora Nigerians struggle with balancing financial obligations, between their host country and supporting families or initiatives back home. And I'm sure you know what I'm talking about now. What advice will you give to those, trying to navigate this very delicate path?
Yeah, I know. It's a hard one. And coming from what I said earlier on about my mom and all that, it's so nice. My gut feeling is that, and I did that actually, forgetting about my mom's thing was about doing something for Nigeria.
Yeah.
But I was doing something for the family. So it wasn't like I just abandoned. I think, I always say to people that it's the two things is either you focus on yourself, abandon, or rather you focus on people back home, to the detriment of yourself.
Hmm.
What I chose is the middle ground, that I have to do both. And that's the harder option, right? Because when you're having to do both, it means that,
It's giving up something for
a lot harder to have to do both, because if you're doing one, then it's easier. But what I discovered with my experience is that, your mentality when you are feeding yourself or when you are feeding a village, your mindset is different. And so you would naturally gravitate towards opportunities that would enable you, to use 5 loaves of bread to feed the many, because other than that, you would not be looking for those opportunities.
Very true.
Yeah,
very true.
So I think that's why. And then, I like I said, the people, the generations after us might not have, they might not feel the same way or have the sentiments that we do, the people that are jackpotting now, because they never see it in a good place.
Yeah.
We did, and Nigeria invested in us, and we had that responsibility, in my opinion anyway,
Yeah.
to try and do
I agree with you.
something back. And at NSF, with our recent experience of setting off something in Nigeria, we realized that, there are lots of talented people in Nigeria, so in Nigeria, you can get the talent. In the UK, you can get the experience and the resources and people that want to give back. So now we are trying to blend both. And we think with that, we'll create opportunities in Nigeria. We'll help them to structure them and for them to walk at the pace of this. If it enables them to jackpot, then so be it. But we're hoping that, there are just too many of them anyway. The unemployment rate is so high that
so high.
You can't. It's just going to happen. So I would say that people that are trying it, with my experience, that I was able to do both. It was very, very hard, and I'm glad that I do, but I didn't neglect myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't neglect my family or my constituents back home, and I just tried to do both. But it was it was a very hard, tough thing to do, because when you're doing both, it means you can just imagine what that means.
I know.
Then you just see opportunities and and all of that, and there's things very, very true. So I don't know if that answers your.
Actually, perfectly. I mean, my next question is actually a comfort zone for you, because I believe that the power of alumni network is undeniable. Now, how can more Nigerian communities abroad leverage their networks for economic empowerment and development?
Again, another fantastic question from you.
Thank you. I did my research.
I think from Nigerians, one thing that we like to do is to go at things alone. We with our NSF experience, we saw a lot of things that were happening to either the Nigerians or the Nigerian organizations that were trying to and why they were failing. So take, for example, the Sports Day. Before us, and during the Olympics, actually, there were 2012, lots of Nigerian organizations that failed. I mentioned that I alluded to.
Yeah.
And one thing we realized was that they were trying to do it a community thing commercially. Without any buy-in or, from the committee and so on. So we tried to do that to make sure that we had the buy-in, that everybody felt a part of, NSF going forward. So that's one thing that needed to be done to try and understand the environment that you are in, how you can make that happen. Another thing was credibility and trust. Again, Nigerians, if we don't want to have a go at something by ourselves, that's another thing, because there's no trust and credibility. You want to try and do something by yourself. Meanwhile, there's only a limited capacity to what you can. If you have lots of people doing very, very small things for you, then you get a lot more done.
You get much more done.
You have lots more ideas flowing in. There's no idea in NSF that was ever mine. Kind of was more like,
it's a combination
of people coming up with ideas and we say, oh yeah, this is good. Let's try this. Let's try that. Or somebody comes to, So be open to allow people in, to collaborate, to trust. And one thing again that we avoided was to avoid Nigeria, 250 ethnic groups, 500 languages, so many political affiliations. You will not get anywhere fast. If you are trying to. So we avoided, we don't do politics, we don't do religion in NSF community. We said, if you want to join us, we don't do that. So you can't see any of our forums where they're having elections and we're talking, nothing like that. Nobody talks politics. We only focus on things that bring us together, which is education, because you need something that unites, that unites you, not something that divides you.
That divides you.
There are other forums that you can go and start doing that. We don't want something to slow us down. We want something that will keep progressing, that you don't want to stand still. You want to keep moving. So that's another thing. And then, what else? Embrace the diversity as well. Like I said, we try and embrace the fact that we're all different. We'll come up with different ideas, try and respect people, or let people come in and, bring in ideas. I think if organizations were, they kind of like start moving towards that, what I also find is that in terms of looking, there are lots of Nigerians everywhere. So in terms of looking for the right fit, you also have to, intentionally search for the right fit as well. A lot of people will try to come on your bus. You have to be intentional and don't be emotional. Don't be about something. Know what the kind of people that you want and stick with that. Some people come to NSF, they try to do the politics thing, and they just realize that they're not getting traction, and then they will just go, or they're moved on, kind of a thing, because we just simply don't do that. There are things that we tolerate and things that we have values and all those kind of things. So yeah, that's what I think a lot more organizations should do. It's not saying that if you want to be a political organization, religious, please.
I mean, yes, please do.
Yeah. But also there should be economic organizations, invest,
Diversity.
stuff like that. Diversity, yeah. As I said, when I was looking at Nigeria, at some point, some of the things I did, I actually brought a group of guys together, of investors, and we're investing in Nigeria. We did something and all of that. And they're all Nigerians, and that takes something, having people of that mindset. So that's what I've looked for, people of that mindset. If I'm doing community things, people of that mindset. So you want to do religious things, look for people of that
mindset.
Right mindset, yeah. It's but if you don't pull those people in, then you run into trouble. You need the right people. You don't need the well poisoners, people that will be negative, people that you won't see. And my board, I'm always very pleased. People are just there. We're collaborative. We're trying to steer towards a vision, and we're all just singing from the same hymn sheet. You have to be intentional in doing that.
Fantastic.
But that's just my humble opinion, anyway.
Yeah, thank you very much for that. I'm sure our viewers will actually appreciate the information in that one. Now, let's move into partnership and collaboration. First of all, before I ask my question, let me appreciate you and thank you, for visiting NACADE.org and, the registration. I'm sure now you've spent, time on our portal and you can see the added value for members. So, and I'm sure you know that at NACADE, we share a common goal of strengthening the Nigerian diaspora community through networking, business empowerment, and cultural preservation. How do you see organizations like NSF and NACADE working together, to create even greater impact in our communities?
Yeah, we at NSF from day one, we've always welcomed collaboration with any organization that share our vision, values, our ideals. And because over the years, our brand we've built our brand and it's very important to us. We've worked over the years. So we welcome any collaboration with any organization, so long as our visions align together.
Yeah.
I mean, you're working on, cultural preservation, on networking. Those are the kind of things that we work on as well. So, there may be synergy there for both organizations. So any organization where there's synergy, we work with them. And what we've always done over the years is that for us, if an organization is a commercial organization, they want to access our network, we will sit down and see how we can monetize whatever it is, be it sponsorship agreements and all those kind of things. So we do that. If it's a community organization, a non-for-profit, we always provide free access, to them from day one. We've worked with all kinds of organizations, from all kinds of charity, Water Aid, ACLT, you name it. At our events, we give them a free platform. So Amaudo, there was a charity working on mental health in Nigeria.
Okay.
From here, we give access to them. Which is Nigerian education. I can name so many. There's just so many of that we collaborate with. So we've always been open to collaboration from day one.
Right.
Because we recognize that just like us, we're trying to attract resources into the community, kind of a thing. So anybody that can help the community move along, we welcome them, we embrace them, so long as our visions align. There may be some that say for example, they're religious leaning or political leaning. Obviously, we'll think that, oh no, our members will not.
Yes, and not.
We're not like that. So going back to what you are doing, like I said, it seems it can, definitely align. We'll be happy.
Thank you.
In fact, there are lots of organizations that we will bring into our meetings, and they'll talk to our organization and try and engage with them directly. We don't mind. We just open up our network. At our events, we give them a free platform. They talk to our members as well without any charge. But we have to understand that it's not a commercial organization. If it's a commercial organization, obviously.
Yeah, of course, commercialized.
Yeah, because you are trying to monetize. So we think we need to get a share of that.
Definitely.
We are not for profit, but also we need to fund ourselves, all the large operations
Definitely.
that we're taking part on.
Definitely.
So that's the direction I think we will, definitely take with the organization, to sit down and see, where there are ways we can leverage our resources together, why not, to help for the betterment of Nigerians worldwide, wherever they are.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. I've definitely be talking to you behind the camera on that topic. Now from just what you've just said now, I'm sure our viewers will appreciate that collaboration, is the key to progress. Now, myself and the viewers, I'm sure, would like to know, are there areas where NSF UK is looking for partnership or collaboration or contributions, from the diaspora, and how can people get involved? Because I want our viewers to know whether your spread is just UK and Nigeria, or is it global? Since our platform is global, it's got a global reach. Are you willing to welcome Nigerians in the diaspora in general?
Again, you're always asking me all this. Very, very good questions.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's something we've actually, I think even from day one, day two, the second year or something like that, somebody had come with the idea. We always have ideas, people bantering all the time. They had come to us and said, oh, why really, in the UK, why don't we expand to other places and so on? And at the time, we're thinking, how are we going to be able to do that? We didn't know. And sometimes with ideas, you may have the idea, it may not be the right time, and other times it will work together. We now in the US, we have some, we have some people in the US that we are collaborating with. They're trying to set up, in fact, they've set up NSF USA.
Okay.
And then we're trying to support them to run with it, really. So we have joint meetings together. We collaborate on things that we're doing in Nigeria, and they sit at those meetings, and we try and work together. So if we had another, say for example, NSF Italy or NSF Europe, so long as we have people that are prepared to run with it, the key thing is that the red lines are that they must agree to our vision, align with everything that we do, blah blah blah, and so on. But it's free for the Nigerian community. Yeah, we're free to kind of like a franchise, but without people paying anything.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? But for it, because it's for the Nigerian community good, we are open to that, to expand to that. We know that our model will not work in Nigeria, will not translate in Nigeria.
Right.
And there's the reason we're doing that the NGO way. And the reason be that there's no need for NSF in Nigeria. Right, because they have their own, everybody is, they have their own way of doing things in Nigeria and stuff like that. There's no need. But in the diaspora, there's this need that brings us together, kind of with the. So that's what we found out with that. And we're approaching that with the NGO route to try and, because we would like to influence the policymakers, make sure that people can see what we're doing, be very, very impactful in Nigeria and so on and so forth. But we welcome, collaborating worldwide, have a global reach, so long as our ideals are met and our visions are aligned and stuff like that. We don't have any issues at all.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. So now I'm going to look into some personal journey and advice from you. Is that okay?
Oh, yeah, that's fine.
All right, Sam. So I believe, from when I read your bio, I can see that you have achieved so much professionally in the community space. What are some of the biggest challenges you faced, and how did you overcome them?
I think I probably talked about them earlier on. Some of the challenges were just challenges that the credibility, the trust, issues. Nigeria being tribal, kind of, the diversity within Nigeria, and because you come from a certain area, overcoming all those. I think we overcame them by just persevering. Not knowing who we are, what we're trying to do, and sticking with that, not getting too distracted with what's going on around the community or the politics and so on and so forth. There has been lots of one other challenge was attracting the right level of resources to make things happen. Again, I told you how we got it to a certain level, and then somebody came and helped us to build that. There were none of the challenges that were not that we couldn't navigate. Primarily because we had lots of help from the network, people coming in and sharing their experiences and all those kind of things. So they really helped. In terms like NSF, going forward, the kind of things that we'll like to see. We've talked about the partnership and the collaboration. That's always a useful thing to us. We like to attract more sponsors as well to help us. We have the big events coming up. So any sponsors that wants to come on board, access our network, we welcome. They're free to talk to us. We always need volunteers. Volunteers. As I said, the way we're structured, there's something for everybody, no matter what. We need everybody to come on board to help lighten the load. That's how we like to see it. Nobody gets paid. It's a friendly space. You pick up valuable experience, and you have lifelong friendship, and you connect to all kinds of network. I started in 2012. My network has just expanded as mushroom. In terms of the people that I now know as a result of what I'm doing. And and then we just love to continue to work in partnership with. We would like to attract resources into the education ecosystem in Nigeria. From here, so FDI, foreign direct investment. So we'll be seeking for that. So we'll be looking for trust. Anybody that's doing things to support what we're doing in Nigeria, that we can put up a case and say, look, we have traction. We've done this before. We have a good record. We can deliver. We can perform to your standard in Nigeria, kind of a thing. So we're looking for that as well. Again, if you know the challenge they have in Nigeria, I'm sure you know as well. Of course, something like the infrastructural deficits. Within the education space that we are, you can solve all Nigerian problems, so you can pick one. You can pick in the secondary school is something that we have said we're going to work with, and we're trying to tackle as much as we can. We think every, it might be a tiny drop in the ocean, but every little counts.
Every little counts.
Every little counts.
Mm.
So those are the kind of challenges that I have seen in terms of like being at the leadership at the helm of NSF, trying to move things forward. When we started off, I actually had we dreamt big. That's something like comes like advising people that you need to dream big. I don't know whether I mentioned that earlier.
You did.
So we had this dream of we could monetize our brand, our network. We could do all kinds of things. Those things didn't pan out, by the way. But that was the ambition that we could represent. We felt as a third force we were representing Nigerian community, so we could go and negotiate. Our dream was that we could go to Virgin, for example. If they're treating Nigerians, but we say, come on. We were representing Nigerians. We're advocating for them. This is what we got to treat them right, and those kind of things. But those just never panned out. We've gone in a different direction. But fantastic. We're really grateful for where we are and for the people that have supported us, both in terms of like the members, our sponsors, everybody, our friends. We have lots of it's just unbelievable. People that support us behind the scene, they don't want to be out there in the open. Some are out there, but there are lots of people that are just behind the scene. They like what we do. So Nigerians, you have to seek them out there. Lots of Nigerians that can value what you do and give you their thumbs up as a result. Whether in time or with money as well. Sometimes even their time and their experiences is even greater than what.
Very true. Very true. Yeah. Very true. I'm sure you know that many of our viewers are aspiring professionals and entrepreneurs in the diaspora. So what advice would you give them about staying resilient and making a lasting impact? But before we conclude, is there also any message you'd like to share, with our audience, especially Nigerians in the diaspora, about staying resilient and pursuing their dreams? I know you said dream big, but we have younger ones coming on board now. So please share your thoughts and advice for our viewers.
Yeah, just going back to the dream big, I think that's a very important thing. You have to really imagine yourself, have this wide imagination. Don't think anything is impossible. I used to remember when I was just to digress a bit, when I was helping our youth to get some access to all those big farms, to go and spend some time with them, kids from GCSE wandering around the city thinking they will never get into to get employment there, and you help organize the internship for them to just spend. It could be 2 weeks, it could be whatever, and all of a sudden they realize that they're speaking to these people. They can so people have to really dream big. And then the thing about dreaming big is that you would then be intentional with how you then achieve your dreams, right? So it's not just about dreaming and then that's it. Then you then start being intentional about having a pathway, a strategy to do that. We talked about how important it is to seek mentors, the right mentors. You can't, and I'm sure the people have had it so many times, you don't have the time to make all the mistakes. Sometimes it's best to learn from others, and there's so many ways you can learn. YouTube is fantastic in terms of picking up things and just learning from it. There are lots of books if you are the book inclined, and there's so many tools that you can just devote your time to actually do that. So you got to seek that. We talked about collaboration. You have to be how to put it. And it doesn't have nothing to do with being financially astute. You just have to have the common sense and the wherewithal. And sometimes you pick that up from mentors. People just telling you have to position yourself here. You may not understand why it is that way,
It's that way.
Yeah, but they have seen the cycles. They understand what it is, and they said no. And they said to you, you don't have to move. I remember the recession of early 90s where every other house was for sale on the streets. It was mayhem, chaos. Who would have thought that? And house prices were completely depressed. you could get flats in London for 50,000. I mean, look at where they are now. Who would have thought that, some people could have given up, they could have, there'll be people that will tell you that, oh, just sit down, don't worry, just make sure you can pay your mortgage, it's the storm, put your head low, everything will soon pass, so you need those kind of people to guide you. Otherwise, as a young person, you won't be able to handle it, where you can't pick this up from a book. As I said, it's a bit difficult. So you need that. And as I said, when you then see the opportunities, being able to appraise them and also be decisive. One thing I always, I won't say irritates me, but there are lots of people that can't make up, that are indecisive when it comes to decision making. What I always say to people is that you need to be informed. So you need to have all the options. And then when you have the options, you need to know how to choose the best option. Now, you can only choose the best option with the one that you have. It can turn out that later on the facts change and then you change your mind. But you have to always learn how to choose that's all you can do. That at the time you chose the best option and you just hone your skills in terms of like doing that. So nothing financially. So some people are always hesitating, and to be able to do that, you need a wealth of experience. You need to be, to be well read. You need people to mentor. All those other things that we talked about. Yeah. And then be prepared to fail is another thing. You would always, people always talk about, and you've heard that a lot. People always talk about their successes. There are lots of failures. You'll be looking at NSF and you're thinking, oh, we just got there. Oh, that's so bad. I told you we were walking around looking for money, nothing was going to happen. And we're trying things, and in personal life as well. Yeah, you would learn from, that mistake. If people haven't, and, they say it all the time, and it's actually true. If you don't fail, there are lessons that you learn from failing. They're actually very important lessons. The resilience and stuff like that, you learn from that. So they're invaluable lessons as well.
Fantastic.
And finally, when you then do gather your wealth, the next thing is how you make sure that you keep it. It's another challenge on its own, and not to fritter it away, to know there are things to do and what not to do, where to put yourself. You have to learn all that. There's so many people win the lottery and they lose everything.
Yes.
So just because they're not and skilled about it. So those are the few things that I will talk about that. So dream big, collaborate with the right people, having a good mentor, being decisive, be ready to fail, and whatever next, and then keeping your money. The big things that I'll mention.
I like to corroborate what you've just said. I remember some time ago a friend of mine said, it is not as easy staying at the top as getting to the top.
Yeah. It's challenging when you
get to the top. Staying there is always
it's always a problem. There's so many distractions, and the person with distractions. There's so many people coming behind you.
Yes.
And then
you pull you down.
Not even pull you down, because if you fritter your position away, somebody else is going to pick it up.
Pick it up straight away.
People are, there's only one cake, and everybody's
trying to get there.
Everybody's trying to get there. So if you give up here, somebody else will take it.
Thank you.
Mr.
Sanwo, so how can people connect with you or learn about your work and the services you provide, personally and with NSF?
With NSF, we have websites. NSF are the NGO. So NSF, it's www.nsf.community.
Okay.
Yeah. So www.nsf November Sierra Foxtrot .community. Okay. So that's the UK one. And then in Nigeria, it's again the www.nsf. Then this time around there's a P, so nsfp.ng.
Okay. What does that P stand for?
Okay. It's not actually, you may think that it's actually Nigerian Schools Foundation, but it's not actually that.
Okay.
In Nigeria, the name Nigeria is restricted.
No,
for you, so you can't use that.
you can't use that. Oh, right. Yes.
So NSFP is actually Needs Schools Foundation
Foundation.
program,
Okay.
but we're using the acronym. For us to be able to get an acronym similar to that, we had so many problems trying to register the name.
Right.
The lawyers just kept on pushing it back. You're allowed to use Nigeria outside now because obviously they can't.
Yeah, boss is here. You can't control it outside Nigeria.
Outside Nigeria, yeah, but in Nigeria, you're not allowed to use that.
Okay.
The P stands for program, but the A is Need Schools Foundation Program.ng. So www.nsfp.ng.
Okay.
Yeah, and then if you want to, I'm on LinkedIn. So if people search for me, Wole Cornelius Sanwo, you find me on LinkedIn as well. You can always connect with me from there.
Fantastic. And lastly, Mr. Sanwo, what's on the horizon for Mr. Wole Cornelius? Are there any exciting projects or initiative we should look forward to? Anything coming in the property market or?
Yeah, where in terms of like on the social side, the social aspect. Again, I think I alluded to the fact that we're trying to blend the people that are giving back here with the talents in Nigeria, as in our work in Nigeria. So we're really trying to work, and I'm leading on that, trying to expand our reach and impact in Nigeria. So meeting with authorities, we're having to, go to Abuja, go to the states, talk to the ministries and all this kind of thing. So all of that is ongoing. So that's what's going to happen more of this year, because once that's established, then that will be fine. And in terms of like that blend, again, we're trying to encourage and create employment opportunities in Nigeria as well by attracting, leveraging in resources.
Well done.
So that's another one. And reverse the brain gain by getting people to help mentor our the people back home. And then I've talked about the sports day, trying to build that back better. It's always you look at the event, trying to get 2,000 people together. There's a lot of things that go.
So a lot of
energy, a lot of people pushing to trying to get it off the ground. And so I think for this year, those are what. And as I've slowed down, I'm actually then if anytime I have a gap, I do a lot of traveling as well. I enjoyed traveling last year. I went across. I have this thing of trying to cover Africa. I feel a bit ashamed that I know Europe, America. I don't really know Africa very well. So I'm trying to reverse that, and I've been maybe about 15 countries now. So
wow.
So last year I was in, I went for AFCON and then went to Senegal, Ivory Coast, Nigeria, all the, West African countries. I did Rwanda, Kenya, and Egypt as well. So I'm trying to do more. So anytime I travel to Africa, I want to try and go direct, going directly so I can explore other places. Well. So I want to try and do more of that. So it's more about easing off as opposed to and then obviously trying to get the next generation to come in and take over the NSF mantle as well. We can be young ones to really come aboard. Really wonderful things that we're doing, recognizing that we understand that people are in different space. They're still dealing with their family, their younger family, and then we have the luxury that we've already gone through that cycle. We get that, but we really like a lot of people to come on and help us be part of the journey, helping to design the sports day that you like to see, or the family if one day contribute. So we like to mentor a lot of people to come on and start seeing how we can hand over. If you look at our logo, you'll see it's about handing over the baton. So it's about handing over the baton to the young ones coming in. So we think we can do some of that as well. That'd be great if we can do that. So if people want to contact me, please do. If you want to be part of our story, we welcome everybody on board. There's so many things that people can help with, that can assist us with.
Mr. Sanwo, it has been an absolute pleasure having you on the Nigerian Community Chronicles Podcast. Thank you for sharing your invaluable insights and for your incredible contributions, to advancing equality, diversity, and inclusion. And to our audience, don't hesitate to connect with Mr. Wole Cornelius Sanwo to learn more about his impactful work. Also visit naki.org to stay engaged with your Nigerian heritage and community. Follow us for more inspiring stories and thought-provoking conversations like this one. Thank you, and God bless.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.